After my graduation, like many international medical graduates, I faced the difficult decision of choosing between AMC and PLAB. This choice was not just about exams, but about long term goals and real life outcomes. I had researched both options even during my MBBS days to be well prepared when the time came. But to my surprise, making the decision was not as simple as I thought it would be. This slide breaks down the two main routes for international medical graduates: the PLAB pathway for the UK and the AMC pathway for Australia. Both involve two steps: PLAB 1 and 2, leading to GMC registration, and the AMC MCQ and clinical exams, leading to APRA registration. But the key differences come down to flexibility and the job market. With the PLAB route, you must pass both exams before you can apply for job. That's a big commitment, especially given how competitive the UK job market is right now. The AMC pathway, on the other hand, often allows you to apply for conditional registration and even secure a job after just the AMC MCQ. Combined with Australia's generally more favorable job market for international graduates, this can be a faster and potentially easier route to starting clinical practice. My personal experience highlights a big difference between the initial exams. PLAB 1 is generally low cost and has easier content, with plenty of study materials available online. However, securing an exam slot was really difficult for me due to post COVID saturation and limited availability. Before you can even book PLAB 1, you need to meet the English language requirements. There are two main options: IELTS and OET. They both test your listening, reading, writing, and speaking skills in general English, and OET focuses more on medical profession. On the other hand, the AMC MCQ is more expensive and challenging, both in terms of content and the lack of clear guidance. Logistically, it's also tougher since the test centers aren't available in every country. Plus, besides creating an AMC candidate account, you need to go through the extra step of ECFMG verification of your medical degree before you can finalize the booking. Structurally, PLAB 1 is a paper-based exam lasting 3 hours with 180 multiple choice questions, while the AMC MCQ is computer-based, lasting 3.5 hours with 150 questions. Despite the longer duration and fewer questions on the AMC MCQ, I found time management challenging for both exams. The questions are intentionally long and designed to be distracting. For the AMC MCQ, I almost did not finish and had to rush through the last part. The pressure to complete all questions is high because skipping any could put you at risk of failing. For my PLAB 1 experience, I prepared over 3 months while working full time. I primarily used Plabbable and PLAB keys as my core study resources. While the exam questions weren't exactly copied directly from the Plabbable, thoroughly studying the material made it much easier to solve them. During my exam, the time management was tricky because many questions had long stems. A helpful aspect, though, was that lab values were provided. Since the exam is paper based, some time is lost filling out the OMR sheet, I believe. But the written format also lets you skip questions and return to them later. Another useful tip is that the questions often included clinchers in the stem, which can guide your diagnosis and help you make a good guess. Now, talking about my AMC MCQ experience, this one was definitely tougher and more expensive. I wasn't working at the time, so I could really focus on studying, which I think was necessary. For preparation, I used Amidex and the Australian guidelines, along with some other resources that I have mentioned in another video. Unlike PLAB 1, AMC MCQ is computer based and adaptive with long, complex questions. Time management is a big deal here, and you really have to focus the whole time to avoid any mistake that could cost you the exam. Another challenge was that the scans and imagings provided in the questions were not very clear, which made interpreting them more difficult. Logistically, it can be tricky, and the test centers aren't available everywhere. So sometimes you need to travel quite far, and the slots fill up quite fast. So planning your dates ahead is really important. If you want some guidance on how to prepare for this exam, I have linked a detailed AMC MCQ strategy video um, in the description below, and I have also provided a link above. So do check that out as well. Moving on to PLAB 2. This is the practical OSCE based second part of the PLAB pathway. Unlike PLAB 1, which tests mostly knowledge, PLAB 2 focuses heavily on communication and interpersonal skills, so it's a completely different kind of challenge. This exam has 16 stations plus 2 rest stations, which means you need to stay focused throughout the day. One major logistical hurdle is that it can only be taken in the Manchester. That means you need to travel and you need to plan for it beforehand. And it adds a significant expense on top of the already high exam fee. Preparation can also be pricey because many candidates attend coaching academies to practice thoroughly. The main piece of advice that I can give regarding this exam is practice, practice, practice. The more you rehearse the scenarios and the stations, the more confident you will be on the exam day. After PLAB, the real challenge begins. The UK job market is super saturated right now. Finding a job as a newly registered doctor can be tough and can take a long time. Because of this intense competition, you might need to take additional fellowship exams like the Royal College MRCP or MRCS just to get a good position in a competitive specialty. That means more expensive, time consuming qualifications, all while dealing with the uncertainty of constantly changing NHS and government rules. It's definitely not easy, but being aware of this reality helps you plan ahead. Looking at the AMC pathway, there are some significant hurdles here as well. First, potential visa issues can be a big problem. In fact, many candidates have had their visas rejected for the AMC clinical exam, which can only be taken in Melbourne. The whole process is also very expensive. The exams themselves are tricky, with a constantly changing question pool, and career progression can be complex because you cannot directly apply for fellowship exams like UK. Finding a job can also be challenging, partly due to fewer observership and networking opportunities. And all of this contributes to the perception that the Australian pathway can be a slow and difficult process in the long run. Despite mentioning all the hurdles, I want to end this comparison on a really positive note. The myths about the AMC, that it's impossible to pass, that there are no jobs, or that there's no future in Australia are simply not true. The AMC exams can be absolutely cleared and jobs can be secured. I have personally come across many doctors, including myself, who have successfully navigated this pathway, found their footing in the system, and are now working in Australia. Their success shows that with the right preparation and determination, this process is completely achievable. So do not let the myths discourage you. With focus and persistence, you can easily make it happen. Finally, my advice after comparing AMC and PLAB is that despite everything we have discussed, this journey is deeply personal. The right path really depends on your individual circumstances, the specialty you want to pursue, the influence of your friends and family, your lifestyle preferences, and even things like climate and culture. The UK training pathway can feel smoother and it is very well connected to the rest of the world. Australia offers great pay, on the other hand, and has many opportunities, but for some, it can feel isolating. My key takeaway is that take the time to weigh your options carefully. Think about what matters most to you and choose the path that fits your goals and fits your life the best. There is no one size fits all answer, and it is all about what works for you.